What's good, everyone? All right, we already know what it is. It's Canes on the Daily episode. Tuesday's episode, we're gonna recap the Clemson Miami game down in Hard Rock Cafe over the weekend. Behind the scenes, I got my guy. You will hear him in the background, Donnie, as always. So, without further ado, you know what we do.
Let's give it up to the youth. Loyal to the squad if we win or we lose. It is in our veins that orange and the green running through and through. Cause you know we want it. Your squad versus ours, now they don't really want it. Authentic bitch deep with frozen abundance. Get ready for the storm cause the hurricane's coming. Let's give it up to the youth. Loyal to the squad if we win or we lose. It is in our veins that orange and the green running through and through. Cause you know we want it. Your squad versus ours, now they don't really want it. Authentic bitch deep with frozen abundance. Get ready for the storm cause the hurricane's coming.
All right. I'm back. All right, man. What's going on, brother?
What's up, my brother? How we doing today?
I am, I am doing excellent. Um, knowing that we got that win over the weekend, actually that loss to North Carolina feels a little bit less painful now,
Oh yeah,
and especially that North Carolina lost to Virginia. Oh yeah,
oh
I
yeah,
I
oh yeah.
I, I like that a whole lot more. So it was crazy because it was so many games on that late slate on Saturday night. I mean, you had Utah, UC, USC, you had Miami, Clemson, you had Florida State, Duke, you had North Carolina, Virginia. It was so much to keep up with. It was crazy. So, but from your perspective, give me your overall rundown of the game.
Well, I gotta admit, man, I was impressed with a couple things. One, the first thing I saw that really impressed me was how Emory Williams did not panic. He stepped up to the plate,
Mm-hmm.
did what he had to do, didn't do too much. He was basically a perfect game manager. I
Yeah.
love the way that we played in the trenches on both sides of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And my game ball has got to go to Mr. Hurricane Bang. Ruben Bang is just
Mr.
insane,
Ruben
bro.
Studd Bain.
Yeah, man, he is insane. Insane Ruben Bang, man. I mean, that defense was on a whole different level.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I got to shout out to the special teams. I mean, we were pretty much flawless.
Yeah.
Love the execution, love the play calling. Still seeing some areas we could improve in, but again,
Yeah.
hey, you take this is at face value, it's a win. At the
Mm-hmm.
end of the day, it's still a win. It wasn't perfect, but it was still a win.
Yeah.
I think both teams played a great game. Um, I saw something on both sides of the ball as far as offense and defense that we could improve on, and hopefully we will as the year goes on. But other than that, I'll say I was impressed with the win. I really was.
Yeah. I was impressed also because they kind of bought time. The defense bought the offense time to really work its way into rhythm. If you notice in the first half that there was not really too much in the rhythm. They kind of like was um still finding. So they leaned on the run a lot. And then once the second half of the game started, you kind of see like Emory Williams was started making them critical throws to Kobe Young and
Hmm.
um now the only one bad play he had was the interception, but I think that was there's Jacoby George fault because he should have like actually went the other way or followed the route more, and that could have been a potential pass interference or a court ball. So the my but Kobe Young, he rebounded from the game in North Carolina, and overall that's what I wanted to see from um I wanted to see from the Hurricanes doing how they was going to respond back after that loss to North Carolina. And I said this too. If Tyler Bennett was healthy and he played, I think we would have blown Clemson out. I think we would have really blown Clemson out in that game. But all in all, I love how they got Emory Williams in flow. Allowed the game to come to him a little bit more, not trying to rush him. He didn't panic, like you said. He didn't panic. He played well and everything. The defense was lights out. Cam Kitchens. Dang, what's the other corner, number 20? I can't remember his name.
Is that the safety you're referring to, James Williams? Because
Yeah,
him and Corey Couch switched numbers. Corey's 0 now.
yeah, Ja'Cory Couch, and then I think what's his name is 0. So, but
Yeah,
he,
Corey Couch. Yeah.
yeah, he Couch play. He be playing lights out too back there. I mean, I be loving it, man. I love it. But I'm glad we finally beat these dudes, man. After 13, I ain't know it. I didn't know it been that long. That we haven't beat these guys. You know what I'm saying? And it's like 13 years. That's a lot. That's a long time. And I think now that these guys, I really feel like now that taste of that victory over a top team, they got two top 10 wins. I mean, well, two top 10 wins this year. And Texas A&M and Clemson could have had a third one with the North Carolina. I think that actually was the driving force behind some of the stuff for them guys to come out playing hard and making a lot of the unnecessary adjustments from last week and not now. I also I'm gonna let you jump in a minute. I still think the management of the game is a little bit still needs to a little bit it needs to clean up a little. It needs to be a little bit better. It seemed like they still be getting a little hesitant sometimes. Um, can you elaborate more on that for me, D?
Yeah, basically now I did see some plays where it looks like there was like some type of I won't say there was a communication issue. I think it was a processing issue where the
Mm.
play was called and it was kind of like, wait a minute, wait. Oh, okay, yeah, okay, we got this. Okay, this is the play. I did see a couple plays where it was like, all right, we got to get back to the line of scrimmage quicker. We got to get off the ball quicker. But overall, for a true freshman quarterback, I really got to be honest. I can't hold that against him.
Hmm.
I've even saw it on the defensive side where we didn't have a lot of true freshmen. We got some guys starting that are still young too on defense. But I saw it more on offense than I saw it on defense. And I was, the thing is we've got to basically have our pace go from very steady to extremely fast. And
Hmm.
it can't be like a pause and a breakdown to give the defense time to think, basically catch a breather and recover. But other than that, I saw that and I'm really not just disappointed in what I saw. I
Yeah.
mean, that was a minor takeaway. And like I said, there were a couple plays where I was like, Miami could have did this. But then I thought about it. I was like, look at the end goal. I think the best game was called due to the freshman quarterback as far as some of the plays and play selection on the offense.
Hmm.
And I can agree with that. And I also can agree with the point that you made that the defense bought us a lot of time. I was
Hmm.
surprised that Clemson really didn't attack us as much on offense, but then I saw why they didn't attack us. Then I was like, well, maybe they'll on the other side of the ball they'll attack us more on defense. But then I saw like our offensive line was really holding it down. It was hard to get pressure. I mean, there were a
Yeah.
couple of plays where they stuffed the back in the running field, in the backfield, but for the most part, Emory Williams he had a clean pocket and plenty of time. I was impressed.
Yeah. I I um I feel I feel like at the end of the day, they actually they did what they needed to took see what how much they could take Clemson's best blow. Yeah, he made some moves here and there, whatever, but I was expecting Clemson's defense because that was one of the things they was talking about most. Oh, Clemson's defense, blah blah blah, whatever the case may be. And I was like, well, if you look at the time of possession, Miami held that because they ran the ball more. The total yards basically about even. Miami had the edge in that. Passing yards, Clemson had more than us, but we dominated rushing. We had 211 yards rushing, so that would. But today they only had 31 yards rushing. Now they had 19 first downs. We had 18. They had 7 penalties. We had 8. Which they had 3 turnovers. We had 1, and that one that came off there. And the main thing of the game, we ain't gave up no sacks whatsoever, and we sacked Clemson quarterback 5 times. So I love that because that shows our offensive line was digging in the trenches. They was protecting. They didn't allow Clemson to get towards Emory Williams and everything like that. And I know Emory could move out the pocket a little bit, but he didn't have to because he had them running backs. And it's crazy because, bro, they we deep at running back.
Yes.
I mean, we only see Chris Johnson, and that was like what, the 3rd game of the season
That's
when
it.
we ain't seen him no more since then. But I think at times I was expecting Ja'Cory Brown to come in this game too as like a package deal, but I don't think they needed him in that. Um, I now, but I know they probably got a package for him, and it's crazy because our running backs, what Harris Jr. didn't even play. He didn't even play on Saturday.
No, because I think the bulk of the carries were between Allen and Cheney.
Yeah, Cheney Allen had most of the carries, but Rashard Smith with that big play, that was most of the yardage right there because he had 87 yards rushing because his longest was 80 yards when he bolted, almost had that touchdown. So, I mean, that was it right there. I mean, but Cheney and Allen took off and did everything they needed to do. So, but I like that. I mean, honestly, I can't, and it was good to see Tyler Van Dyke's reaction at the end of the game. You know what I'm saying? Because he was really, really happy and loving what they did. You know what I'm saying? So I'm glad to see that. I'm glad to see how um Tyler was able to show his appreciation because we don't know if Tyler is going to play this weekend or not. You know what I'm saying? So this is probably another chance for Emory to get a feel of a game against another opponent that just came off of beating um, North Carolina, and then they might could add a little bit more packages in there because say if Emory did play, guess what Virginia gonna be prepared for a quarterback that they're gonna think, oh well, he's not gonna do this, and then Shannon Dawson probably end up opening it up a little bit so he actually could do a little bit more. So there's a lot of things that they have to, it could benefit us and in disguise a little bit more, but depends on how Tyler feels. So maybe Tyler, they keep him out. Maybe he come back, but by on the Florida State game, who knows? But Sean actually Ruben Bain. I mean, he was player of the week 2 times. He so I mean, the thing about it is, I love it. I wish we had got that North Carolina win though. I wish we did. I really wish we got that win. That would have made me more happy than anything if we had got that win. And then beat Clemson. That would have been put us in perfect position. Let me ask you a question though. Where do you think? Where you think if scenario wise? I think Duke could beat North Carolina. I think Duke would have beat Florida State, but Florida State, I think they played dirty against the quarterback for Duke. I think they intentionally hurt him. That's just my opinion of it. Um, but I think Duke could beat North Carolina. I know Florida State probably will beat North Carolina. That'll get them 3 wins. That'll get them 3 losses in the conference. The only thing is we have to win out completely. We have to find a way to beat Florida State. That's the only way that's going to save us to be second in the division, to have a shot at the ACC title game.
Now I can see that scenario playing out. The thing is like there's still a lot of wild cards left,
Mm-hmm.
and I still feel like the Louisville game will be huge.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not looking past the NC State game, not even looking past the Virginia game, because like
Mm-hmm.
there are certain games we're supposed to win, and we find a way to let's just say come out not so successful.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing is like it's got to be a game by game approach.
Yeah.
And yes, we do need the pieces to fall in place for us because there are a lot of teams that are coming on late. I still like what Virginia Tech is doing.
Yeah.
They're actually, making some of these contests closer, and it's just not an easy win. You got
Mm-hmm.
teams like Wake Forest that can sneak up and bite you.
Oh
So
yeah.
basically we got to build off of the foundation that we had so far. And I love the fact that Leonard Taylor showed up and showed out.
Yeah.
Even
Definitely.
though it wasn't a lot of stats there in the box score, but this guy was
Mm-hmm.
a disruptor. And that made a
Yeah.
difference. That made a difference. I think that changed the way him and Bain were attacking. I think that
Mm-hmm.
changed Clemson's game plan because I did not see a lot of Maffa that game.
Mm.
I saw him sporadically,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I didn't see him effective. I'll say that much.
And also, the way Florida State has been playing, they had not really played dominant either. So it's not like is an easy runaway for them either. So I mean, I think if Miami could build off of this game and really play, because they got Virginia, NC State, then Florida State. If they handle these next 2 games, they handle business, literally handle business. And it depends on Tyler Van Dyke. He might not play the Virginia game. He might come back against the NC State game. If he does come back, now if he comes back in the Virginia game, that's all good. All good. And why? I'm looking at the schedule. Why we got another night game? The NC State game is a night game at NC State.
Well, to be honest, I did some research into that. And what I'm noticing is if they're putting Miami on at the prime time slot, there's something going on there.
Hmm.
Now, a lot of people will try to clown Miami because they're like, hey, you don't have a lot of fans in the stands. But I will say this, TV money means money. So if people are tuning in to watch us, whether at the stadium or
Mm-hmm.
at Buffalo Wild Wings or wherever they may be, they're tuning
Yeah.
in to watch us.
Yeah.
If not, we would not keep getting the prime time slots.
Because this is our fourth night game. That'd be our fourth
Exactly.
night game. Because
So
what the Georgia Tech, the North Carolina, the Clemson game, and the NC State, all those was night games.
yeah,
And you never know. That Florida State game might be a night game. It
I'm
might
pretty
change
sure it will. I'm pretty sure it will.
because if Miami wins back-to-back games going into Tallahassee, my only concern with Florida State is Travis. Is
Jordan.
Travis Jordan? Yeah, he's the person you got to stop. You take him away, because I watched Duke get after him. Duke is nothing to be under, and I'm glad we don't have them on the schedule this year. Duke is right. I think Duke had a great excellent game plan. Clemson had a good game plan against Florida State. So I'm not. If I know that we could beat Clemson, and I know that Duke almost beat Florida State. I mean Clemson almost beat Florida State too. I'm confident the way we play deep. That's why I say people think that okay, yeah, we have some mismanagement here and there. You know, we turned the ball over in the North Carolina game. We blew a game against Georgia Tech that we should have won. But to me, our defense and our offensive front is going to be the catalyst to get us these wins. And we roll through these next 5 games, and I'm saying if we was to win the last 5 games, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If we win the next 5 games, no matter how we win it, close or blowout, then everything plays out from that point on. And even if we don't get the ACC a chance to play for the ACC, we should get a really good bowl, a New Year's bowl. You know what I'm saying? Or I think we should get like a New Year's bowl because then that'll put us in a great position. Um, how did you feel about that decommit that guy committed to Florida State?
I mean, I take that with a grain of salt, and I'm gonna tell you why. I really don't care about the flipping because, at this point of the year, you've got a chance to flip once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, however many times you want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Until you actually put your name on the dotted line, it does not matter to me. And I know a lot of people will take that, and I will probably be toasted for saying this, but I don't really put a lot of faith in these kids until they sign the dotted
Mm-hmm.
line. Until you sign the dotted line, I don't care because I know people will throw stuff at you, and I don't care. And I wouldn't blame you for exploring your options. You would be less than smart to do that. But the thing is like what I look at also is you got to remember. The thing is like with all the schools in the state of Florida, these kids know each other. They
Mm-hmm.
played together from the age of probably 7 till now. So they know each other. I mean, it doesn't matter if you go to Miami, you're going to be playing against guys you knew that play at Florida State or you played with that went to Florida State.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. The same thing is with Florida, FAU, FIU, even Bethune-Cookman, FAMU, the list goes on and on. So even Central Florida. I mean, the thing is like, I don't put a lot of stock into that. I mean, the thing is, you can flip 3, 4 times, and this could be a game. It could be a shell game. Like, yeah, I'm gonna flip Florida State, and then when it's time to sign, I'm flipping back to Miami and put the Miami hat on. I mean, I just don't put a lot of trust into that until you sign the dotted line. You sign the dotted line, you go where you want to go, and then
Mm-hmm.
who's to say? Even though you sign the dotted line, there's a transfer portal, and you're like, you know what? I'm going to Miami. Or you can
Mm-hmm.
say the same thing if you pick Miami. I'm going to Florida State. So I don't put a lot of trust and stock in that. I do follow the recruiting. And if Blunt decided to flip, I'm cool with that. I mean, look, I don't blame the young man. Hey, explore your options. That's all I say.
Mm-hmm.
Explore it. At the same time, I will say this too. The Miami Florida State game will be different. And I'm calling it out now. We saw what happened last year.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in Miami's defense, and this is not an excuse, just in their defense, this was a Miami team that basically never had a book read to them, the little engine that could, because they quit. Now somebody has read the book to them, the little engine that could, and they believe every game they can win. Even the North Carolina game, when it looked like it was just out of sight, Miami closed that gap real
Mm-hmm.
quick. And it was like, okay, well, looking at the clock, using common sense and mathematics, yeah, mathematically, Miami is eliminated from this game. But you know what? Miami didn't let it show, which is
Mm-hmm.
something I cannot say has been true for the last 20 years. Usually, if
Yeah.
Miami's defeated, you can see it in the body language, the effort. So I will say it's a new Miami team. It's a new day. The only thing that's guaranteed is that Florida State game is probably going to be a war. That's going to be
Mm-hmm.
that will probably be one of the games of the year, just simply because of the two teams that's playing, the pride that will be on the line, based off of the score last year. It's like not this time. So I expect a heavyweight match to go 12 rounds, and somebody's eventually going to lose a tooth
Yeah.
because it's going to be a lot of punching in the mouth.
I um I think that I think for the most part is that this Miami and Florida State game is going to be more important than it probably has been because Miami has really, I think Florida State showed some vulnerability this year, and the only thing that's keeping them a post is Travis Jordan. And I mean, if Miami's defense could do what they did against Drake May against Florida State, Miami walks out of Tallahassee with a win. Simple as that. At Miami, but the thing about it is, the offense has to make plays. Tyler Van Dyke can't get. He can't if he plays that game. He cannot turn the ball over. I mean, he cannot stare these receivers down. He's going to have to take his shots. I mean, we going to have to really rely on our running game. I think our running game is going to be more important in that matchup because I think we can run on them. I think we could run on Florida State as much. I think our offense line is going to create a lot of lanes. I'm telling you, I really believe that Miami is going to beat Florida State this year. I think Miami knows that they want to beat Florida State. I think they're going to go into Tallahassee knowing that they could beat Florida State. If they execute everything that I just laid out a few minutes ago, bro, we will beat Florida State. And then guess what? We have recruits coming to us. They're gonna be like, oh well, you know what? Hey, they beat them. Let's go to Miami. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot to be established, a lot to be um desire from that game because it sets the pinnacle for next year. You beat you got past Clemson. Boom. Most likely now that's gonna be looking. Then also now you gonna if you beat Florida State, guess what's gonna happen? You gonna be able to pull recruits from Florida State or from down in Florida because you just beat one of your rivals. That's just like Ohio State and Michigan. Once you if Michigan beats Ohio State, guess what's gonna happen? Ohio State gonna get recruits, but a lot of people don't just go to where who's hot. So Florida State been hot last year, but um I see Miami getting them, and lo and behold, if Miami gets them, and we hope that Florida State. Now, if Miami beats Florida State and North Carolina was to beat them, we only hope that Florida State loses a third time, because then that easy helps Miami if Florida State loses a third time. So who knows?
And I agree. And like I said, the season is it's far from over. There's a lot of
Yeah.
scenarios that play out. And the only thing I'm looking at is I will tell you that the Florida State Miami game this year will be a true rivalry. That's going to be it's going to be a knockdown drag out.
Oh yeah, I agree with you.
And the thing is I think both of these teams, and I'm just going to go ahead and say it now, I think both of these teams are on the brink of what we saw maybe 30, almost 40 years ago, where
Mm,
if they keep improving and getting better, It's going to
Mm-hmm.
be that national championship will run through the state of Florida again.
Yeah.
Whether it's Miami or Florida State, but we still have to face each other in the regular season.
Oh
So
yeah.
even a one-loss team with a 12-team playoff, and then if both of them are in the playoff, and even Florida, three of them, that national championship will run through the state of Florida, the Sunshine
Mm-hmm.
State. There's no way you can deny that. And the thing is I look at it now. I know Miami has some things we have to work on and improve, but we can compete with anybody at
Yeah.
this. Now, for how long, that's different. Now, the thing is I feel like Miami is showing me something that I wanted to see. Last week
Yeah.
I got on here and I told you I wanted to see them throw the ball to the running back more. That's what we
Mm.
did. And I was like, okay. I was like, you know what? It doesn't have to be a big play every time, but just keep the defense honest.
Oh
And they
yeah.
did.
Yeah.
And they did. And the thing is like I do believe in the X factor, and the X factor will be Emory Williams and also Ja'Cory Brown, because he still has a couple games to play before they can burn that red shirt.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is like that could be the Florida State game that you're talking about, the package.
Yeah.
Because now it's like I feel like honestly, and this is the first time that I can say this honestly in like the last, I'm gonna be honest and say 8 years, where I actually trust my defense as far as my defensive linemen and my linebackers to contain a running quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see Travis getting to the edge as free
Mm-hmm.
without somebody coming down on him. He's going to have to take it up the middle, which is what we want. We want you to run into the teeth of the defense. Now, with that being said, we have to keep that same pursuit the whole game.
Yeah.
We can't let Florida State all of a sudden, okay, if we shut down the run from the quarterback, allow them to beat us with the run, which North Carolina was like, you know what? Let's just change the game. Quarterback's not getting it done. He's not cutting it. Run the ball. And then just have him throw deep passes. So
Mm-hmm.
we've been tested deep. We failed the first test. But usually when you fail a test, the lesson you learn is experience. So now
Oh
hopefully
yeah.
we've learned containment and we've learned to maintain our assignments. And that's the way we beat Florida State. Take the run away from Travis, make
Mm-hmm.
him throw the ball, but also contain the receivers. Don't let anybody get over the top and make them earn every yard.
Yeah.
That's how
That's
you
what
beat
you
them.
that's what you gotta do. You gotta make them earn everything, because if you let Travis start scrambling out the pocket and finding the open man for these big plays, it's gonna hurt us. But one thing I could say, Miami has not given up too many big plays this year. You know, they did it in that North Carolina game because the offense just turned the ball over too many times and just got stifled. So, I mean, without that being said, like I said, if we had scored on all our drives in North Carolina, we could have easily spotted them 21 points quick. You know what I'm saying? We could have spotted them 21 points. We killed ourselves in that game. And I think if we had to do over that game, we would beat them. I do believe that. Miami starting to. I think they're starting to learn the mistakes they're making now, more so because you got to think Miami was 4-0, and then they lost momentum when they went on that bye week. If Miami was able to kept playing and say they got a bye week after the North Carolina game, I think Miami would have been able to beat Georgia Tech and beat North Carolina, then had enough rest, come back in, and then dealt with a Clemson team where they probably would have beat them. Then Miami would have been looking at an undefeated season going into probably down the stretch to North Carolina. That's where my mentality was thinking. They bye week came too early, and they kind of like threw their rhythm off. Because Miami had rhythm going down. They was rolling. They had rhythm. And as soon as they got that bye week killed their momentum. And then when they came back up, they had to regenerate all of that over again with Georgia Tech. and it didn't pay off. So, and that's why I think I went back and I started thinking about it because when I did a video and we did a stream, I didn't really think about it too much. And then as I'm talking to you now, I kind of seen that and I was like, dang, Miami had all that momentum because they was already 4-0 and they got a bye week and they threw their whole rhythm off. And then because what you doing for a whole week? Nothing. So you ain't getting no reps. You probably getting reps that week before you had to play a game. Because what we played that Thursday night against North
Yep.
Carolina.
Hmm.
See, so imagine if Miami had rhythm going into that Thursday night. They would have handled North. They would have had a Georgia Tech with no issue, no issue. And then I could have seen them probably having a bye week after that, and then the North Carolina game, or going into the North Carolina game. You know what I'm saying? But they would have had a short time to recover from that. You know what I'm saying? Because they would just play there. Well, actually, they would have had days off. So, but that's why I think that bye week before Georgia Tech was was not a good bye week because when they played Georgia Tech, if they had played Georgia Tech ahead on that Thursday, they would have had enough days to recover to come back and play North Carolina. See, their rhythm was you got if you look at it, their rhythm was off really bad when they came out, and then they had that layover days for the following week again. So they really had a chance to build another more rhythm again. So they kind of like it kind of messed them up a little bit. But then they kind of like after they got that North Carolina game under their belt and played, then they was able to carry a little bit momentum into that Clemson game. So I think that's what I think. I think the bye week kind of like came too soon because they already was having like 8 days or so after that Thursday night game, going into that Saturday game and everything like that. So, but for the most part, bro, I think like I said, this is I think Miami's a little bit more balanced, a little bit more than they have been a little bit. They still could pass, but I think they are throwing a lot of bodies in the run game at a lot of teams. And that's what I think is going to hurt teams that try to blitz us. You know what I'm saying? Some of them they might get in the backfield a little bit here, but I think once we start opening it up, because it's going to be hard to like Tyler Harrell, Isaiah Horton, Bajar Smith. It's going to be hard containing them guys. If that offensive line gives either one of our quarterbacks enough time, it's going to be hard because now you're starting to see them guys come into the offense a little bit more. Even the big tight end, number 88, is starting to get in the game. And then so the more bodies we throw at these teams, the more it sets up great success for us. We just gotta not shoot ourselves in the foot. That's the only thing that puzzles me a whole lot. That we should end up shooting ourselves in the foot.
And I can agree with that. The thing is, like the costly penalties, the incompletions, every now and then the turnovers. But I feel like we got a lot of playmakers at a lot of different positions that we can present different looks. So I'm thinking as the year progresses, like we will find out by the Florida State game who this Miami team really is.
Mm-hmm.
I really have not seen a lot out of the spread offense, but when we do run the spread offense, I like the way we run it. We've got a lot of options. Now I think basically this is like almost like an in-game live scrimmage. Like, okay, if we call this play, quarterback, what do you see? Offensive line, what do you see? And these guys are giving the input back, and they're like, okay, now we face teams that are faster, stronger. We want to run this play, but we want to run it this way. So basically, misdirection, motion. I'm starting to see stuff that I like.
Yeah.
Throw into the running backs. Make sure the tight end is utilized. I'm loving what I'm seeing on offense and defense. I love the containment as far as like up front. Up front, it's kind of hard to fool us up front. and then our linebackers are there now. Sometimes you can get over on us in the secondary. At the same time, I still love the way they're playing, though. I wouldn't take anything away from those guys, though. And I just feel like we're building on the same foundation. We're strengthening up where we're weak. And I got a feeling by the time we get to Florida State, that is going to be, as JR would say, an old fashioned slobber knocker.
Mm. I'm telling you that game is gonna be oof. I do believe that gonna be a night game. I do believe that gonna be a night game.
It
It's
has
no
to be.
it's no way that Miami Florida State does not be prime time. It can't be. I mean I would love to see. Actually, I would love to see game day down there. It would be just electric.
Now, to expound on your point, you just threw this out here hypothetically. Miami wins their next two games. Where else will game day be? This is one of the biggest rivalries, and
Mm-hmm.
ESPN loves us. They love Florida State. This will be like their darlings, their sweethearts, battling it out at 8. And of course,
Mm.
Kirk can't pick the game, and Chris won't pick the game, but they will call the game, and they will call it enthusiastically because they want to see it. For years, ESPN is saying college football is always better when Miami is on top. Now,
Yeah.
the thing is, Miami has a chance, and I'm just using your model for example.
Okay.
Win the next two games and then beat a team in the top 10. Where would that vault Miami? Right back into the middle of,
Mm-hmm.
hey, this could be a serious ACC contender.
Yep.
Then it's up to Florida State to keep us out. Then it's up to North Carolina to keep us out. So you
Mm-hmm.
have two one-loss teams that's got to face each other, and then it's like, okay, now the thing is, you guys have to win out to keep us completely out. If you
Yeah.
lose another game, then it's doubt, and then it's like Miami could sneak in there, and if they sneak in there, and
Mm.
the crazy thing about Miami, and I hate to say this out loud, I have to be honest though, they are starting to look better game by game.
Yeah. And that's why I was like I was that's why I went back to that analogy earlier when I said Miami rhythm got thrown off after that bye week. When Miami had that bye week, their rhythm was thrown off because Miami was like they was rolling. The first 4 games of the season, they was rolling. They got that bye week. They came back flat against Georgia Tech. Then they had another at least 6 or 7 days off before they got played North Carolina. So they had to travel for that. They had to get up for that game, and then they didn't. They was you could have seen it on the field. They was moving the ball, but they was still something off about them. Then they lost that game. Then they kind of like towards the end of that North Carolina game when they scored the last 2 touchdowns, they found a rhythm and then they brought that in. Even though Tyler Van Dyke got banged up, then but it carried over because them guys knew that they let 2 games get away basically. So they had it in their mind. Now we ain't gonna do that. So with that being said, with that being said, I I I I do project that Miami has gotten better. They has got more efficient in certain areas. The defense has been holding down. The offense, I think the offense just got to catch up with the defense now. If the offense could roll like roll downfield play after play, putting points up, making it so hard where the defense could like rest a little bit, come back, be more aggressive. If the offense catch up with the defense of Miami, then hey, you really got a winner right there to build going down the stretch of on the rest of the season because now the team's gonna be like, okay, it's going to be hard to beat Miami on both sides of the ball because their defense is like top. We got top corners, linebackers, D lines, and everything like that. So it's going to be pretty tough. So you make them think about it, what they actually going to do. So that's what I see right there. But um, other than that, man, um, I'm excited. I'm excited. And I think Mario did the best thing that he did was dropping I think dropping um Kevin Steele and um Gaddis and bringing some guys that's that could be with the program for a while and build this defense and offense up. And and you got Jason Taylor there working with them, and that's a plus by itself. That's a plus by itself.
And I
So
agree with that. I agree with that totally. And the thing is like once we start to see the results on the field, just know that the nation will take note.
mhm,
So once the nation starts to take note, that's when it becomes a problem. And it's not necessarily a bad problem, but if you got a team hitting on all cylinders, there are other teams that might hit a hiccup in the road. They need to freshen
mhm,
things up. Then they can start going after our coaching staff. The thing is like when that starts to happen, we just got to keep eyes out for the next best,
mhm.
that we can bring up and keep it rolling like we got it rolling. Right now, I see that Miami has a pretty bright future. Now the thing is like I'm not gonna change my projection because I don't want to jinx them. I'm still picking 7-5. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. That's a good day.
Yeah, I don't see us losing 5 games though. I still, like I said, I still pick my 9-3. I think 3 games is enough for us. Um, um, and I still feel like we at a point that is going to be I think it's going to be beneficial for Miami at this standpoint. So um, but also I know that I think I know like at a certain juncture that Miami is going to they're going to be able to make they're going to be able to make certain moves that's going to propel them. And like NC State, they might not be as good, but they play tough. That Virginia game is going to be a tough game. It's not going to be as easy, but I think, and this is where I don't know if Tyler's going to play this game. That's the thing. If Tyler plays, I think we'll be able to. I mean, we won't. I won't say. I think depends on how what his mobility. I honestly don't think that. Um, I don't think Tyler's gonna play. I was reading something right here. It said Miami rush defense tops ACC after stifling Clemson. Like that's what. And you remember if you go back to a couple of years, what was our biggest problem on defense?
The honest to God truth would be 3rd and 20 or more, or even a 4th and 20, where the defense allowed them to convert. There was not a lot of pressure on the quarterback. We were anemic when it came to the run. So
Mm-hmm.
basically, on that particular scenario, it's basically could have been a 3rd and 18, and they could have ran the ball and got the first down.
So basically, as you alluded to, run defense was our weakness. We was bad stopping a run on all fronts. If it's a running back or the quarterback, we was bad stopping them. If you look at the last 2 games, the last 3 games, we did very well against the run. Even Drake May didn't run against us because we was lighting him up. So they had to go up tempo. They had to change the dynamic because if they didn't go up tempo on us, we would have. We probably would. We already had 5 sacks against them. We probably could have had 10 sacks against Drake May in that North Carolina game. And speaking of North Carolina, I still got my video vlog I need to put up for that game. For that game, all the sights and sounds that I took, I still got to put that video blog up on that. But and then you look at it, Miami going to Clemson, shut down one of their most powerful runners, Shipley, and Moffer was a non-factor. So we shut that down. So that's something that we could take in going down the stretch. Because what Florida State, I mean, Florida State run the ball, but I don't think they run the ball like us.
And again, I can agree with that. The thing is like I expect to see a total different tempo and speed from Florida State when they play us offensively and defensively. And likewise, on the flip side of the coin, I expect to see a different Miami tempo and mindset. This is going to bring the best out of the best of both. And I think like Florida State, don't get me wrong, they're undefeated. Congrats to them. Great team. I think they've got a trick up their sleeve, and I know Miami will have a trick up their sleeve. So we're just going to see the immovable force and the unstoppable object collide, and that's what we'll see in that game. And the thing is hopefully we don't do anything to shoot ourselves in the foot. Coaching staff has to be on point. Players have to be on point. Emotions will run high. I will need my guys, my leaders of that team, to basically calm themselves and calm the younger guys to like not feed into the hype, the trash talk, the chippiness. Let it go. Look, if you get beat on a play, you miss an assignment, let it go. We got another play. Let's go. Let's go. Don't focus on it. Keep moving forward. Have a short memory. Move the ball. Manage the clock. And do not, under any circumstance, hurt yourself with penalties.
Hey, I got a question for you. If you could get your video up by Saturday, you want to do a play-by-play live stream?
Yeah.
All right. Because I want to live stream that game. That game come on at 3:30, so that'll give me a chance to really hone in and do a live stream from it.
No problem.
All right, sounds good. So I'll set that up. I'll set a live stream up, play-by-play for Virginia and Miami, and then we could go ahead and hone in on that. So, because I definitely gonna be lock and loaded in that game since that game. But all in all, man, I just feel like Miami is gonna shock some teams. Because I got a Florida State fan that's all in my ear, and one of my best friends, he's a Florida State fan, so they already thinking they're gonna bust our heads and all of that stuff. But like I said, I done saw a lot of vulnerability on Florida State side this year, and a lot of growth for Miami. So Miami definitely is going to have a handful, but I think they're gonna overcome it and they're going to get it. And I think if Tyler's going to go out this season, he needs to do what he needs to do and everything, because I'm telling you, he doesn't start and they open up this. If Tyler, let me tell you, Tyler, this is another thing I've been thinking. If Tyler Van Dyke do not play by the time we play Florida State, and they open up the playbook a little bit more for Emory Williams, and he start looking the part, I don't even see Tyler starting against Florida State. I don't see it. I think because that'll give you 2 games in of Emory Williams being more efficient, getting accustomed to the speed of the game. You know what I'm saying? He came in to spot some games early on in the year, but you didn't get a sample size. You got a size of him in the Clemson game, but guess what? They only kept it to a minimum because they didn't open it up. But say he played Virginia this weekend, and he's able to do a little bit more, then do a little bit more against NC State, and then the unexpected happened. He plays against Florida State, and he ended up beating Florida State like he did Clemson. It's gonna be hard going back to him. I mean, going back to Tyler. To be honest with you, it would be very hard to go back to Tyler if Emory Williams wins the next 3 games. If Tyler's not healthy enough to get back on the field, if Emory Williams wins the next 3 games and Tyler Van Dyke can't get back on the field, it's going to be hard to go back to Tyler Van Dyke.
That's true. I mean, and that could lead to a quarterback controversy, but right now I don't think it's a controversy.
No, I
I
don't
still
think it's
think,
one at all either.
yeah, I think it's still Tyler Van Dyke's team, but I do see now that the coaching staff has shown that they have the gall to pull him. And if we get into a game, he has a rocky start and he can't recover, we can pull him and we go with Emory. Maybe we have to dial it back a little, or maybe we dial it forward. Who knows? Because maybe the opposing team is expecting us to dial it back. And then if we dial it forward and go to a full spread offense and kind of abandon the run, then we just pass happy. It's like, wait, whoa. What team is this? What team is this? What team is this? And it's like, no, you don't have time to recover. You better use your timeouts. And then
Yep.
once we get them in a situation where they're burning the timeouts, then start to run the ball and then slow it down a little bit and then speed it right back up. Go to the pass, boom, 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 boom. And it's like, oh, you don't have any timeouts? Bro, we got you.
Yep.
I mean, I see the complexity of the spread offense and I can agree with the philosophy of it. And the thing is like at the end of the day, as long as the players buy into the system, they trust the system and listen to what the coach is saying, we won't have a Clemson situation because I think that last play was totally on Klubnik. I don't know why he did not hand the ball off.
Yeah. I mean, I think I could tell you, I'm gonna tell you what he saw. He saw everybody bunched up. He didn't expect the linebacker to chase him down. He thought he could have faked it and run and hit the corner. You know what I'm saying? Where there's nobody there, but he didn't expect that Ruben Bain was going to dart out there like that on him and cut him off. So that was a surprising. And then, I mean, it's crazy how Dabo threw him on the bus though, but hey, I mean, he literally chunked him under the table. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, man, like really?
Well,
Like dang.
the
I mean,
thing
that's
is,
your
in a loss like that, man, if you think about it, both of these teams coming in were, if I'm not mistaken, at that point they were 4-2. Somebody had to fall to 4-3, and if you fall to 4-3, it's almost impossible to be relevant. So that means out of 7 games, and last time I checked, 7 plus 5 is 12. So it's almost at that point when you drop 3, it's almost impossible to qualify for a New Year's Six bowl or any other major bowl that you won't play at like, I don't know, 9 a.m. on December 5th. So, I mean, and that takes a major hit to recruiting and revenue. So the thing is like, I understand it, but at the same time, I don't get it.
Yeah.
Because as a coach, if you're making millions of dollars, I don't think you should ever throw your players under the bus. And that's one thing that I would say Miami needs to focus on too, because just to go back in time for just a brief second, it was not a fumble against Georgia Tech. Mario should have just stood there and took it and said, yo, I should have kneeled on the ball. And that's it. No more questions. That was my mistake. That was my fault. It will never happen again. Just put it
Exactly.
out there. I made a mistake. I messed up. It won't happen again. Instead of like
Exactly.
blaming the players, I was like, I don't blame these young men wholly in part for the mistakes. I blame these young men most of the time that they listen to things that they know that are not right. And then sometimes when they do what they think they should do
Should
and take
do.
a gamble and it doesn't work out, I can understand where the heart was coming from.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, I totally get it. Been in a huddle plenty of times myself, seen it play out firsthand. The thing is you gotta trust the system. You gotta trust each other. So it's basically, if we're gonna take a gamble, bro, I need you to have my back.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, if you're gonna attack the ball, I'll go over the top. And we gotta, as soon as we break the huddle, that's the communication.
Yep.
And the thing is like I think Miami is getting there, but you know, it's just a work in progress. And right now, I'm not disappointed in the product that's on the field. And I'm not overly ecstatic about the product that's on the field. And I'll tell you why. I still see things we need to work on. But I will say this, what I
Mm-hmm.
am overly ecstatic about, I see every week we are getting better in every facet of the game.
Yeah. So what? So yeah. With that being said, is we'll see what happens on this weekend against Virginia Tech. Have Miami learned anything? Can they build on it? Can they could keep this trend, keep this um, winning streak rolling? Um, or they going to suffer a setback? These are the things that's going to build Miami a little bit better. If you could build on a great win and going in and having Virginia come there, who's on a high also for being North Carolina, and they might be on a too much of a high. They might have a letdown, but you can't have a letdown. You gotta go. You gotta take their best punch and then punch them right back. So, with that being said, that concludes this episode of the Canes on the Daily on Tuesday night. As always, you can always find me, my good friend, my boy Donnie. We always talk Canes football, from recruiting to past games to present games. So therefore, the Virginia game does start at 3:30. So join us for a play-by-play live stream on that on Saturday for that. Until then, you can find me Livewire Sports Media, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Also, um, I'm all over. I'm all over the place. So therefore, you can find me anywhere. I always drop some short videos on some stuff, from games, sports around the globe. But for myself, my man Donnie, you got anything you want to shout out before we head out?
All I can say is go Canes, man. I'm enjoying the season.
Yes, sir. Go Canes. And you know what we do. We out.
Peace.